evening, Happy New Year.
Your name and address for the record, please.
It's Barbara Thomas. I've given it before, can I please not, because I'm getting a couple of threats myself.
We have it on record here, okay.
It seems, people that are in animal welfare and protection care about the animals. That's why we're here. Mr. Bernacci just said something that was extremely important and valuable. Excuse me, I was just running. There's some good and there's some bad. And I wish we could just like break the air, break the ice, whatever you want to call it, about discussing euthanasia or discussing killing, because it happens. And our shelter is not a no-kill shelter. So why can't we just talk about it and fix the problems so that we do achieve what we would like to achieve? I know we've been trying for years to be no-kill, but the reality is that we are not no-kill. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that we do not have a behaviorist. You all know that. We discuss it every time we're here at the board meetings for the past 2 years. So with the not having a behaviorist, a lot of the programs can exist properly, such as the buddy program. I noticed Dave Bernacci just mentioned that as well. He volunteered there for some time, and he's been rescuing animals for 30 years. I think the man knows how to walk a dog. I think the man knows how to train a dog, rescue a dog. Yet, when you get to the shelter, you're only allowed to walk the little fluffies that have absolutely no problems. To rise through the ranks, as they call them, to the harder dogs takes time, effort, and mentoring, which doesn't seem to happen. And therefore, a lot of volunteers leave because they come to work with all of the dogs, not just the little dogs that are very easy to handle. So that's one of the reasons why the shelter is losing volunteers. Besides the bullying and all the other things that I've talked about. I'm hoping there's a little bit of progress in that investigation, or maybe you're going to share any findings with the public soon. Is that a possibility?
If you would like to submit your request in writing to the town attorney's office, we will give you an answer.
For over a year now, I've been submitting things, and I never hear a word.
Who did you submit them to?
The board? The board via email. Last year.
Once again, if you would submit whatever questions you have to the town attorney's office, we will endeavor to give you an answer.
Is the code of conduct ever going to be enforced within the
If you will submit your questions in writing to the town attorney's office, please.
10 calls that he never returned.
Nobody within your town should be receiving threats from your volunteers. Enforcing a code of conduct is one thing that I always talk about when I'm here, and I really, really wish it would happen, because the hate is absolutely getting out of control. The hate and the lies. And the things that Diane Madden, the things that have happened to her in the past with the town here are happening all over. Not only defamation, threats constantly. But anyway, so while we're talking about no-kill, I'd really like to bring up one animal that I just can't seem to get out of my mind, because I did actually read a FOIL on this particular dog, and I can't for the life of me understand why he's dead. So I would really like to open the door and talk about killing. It happens. You know, I'm sure the volunteers, the select group of volunteers that caused me much pain and grief, and threats, I must add, yet they can't talk about this because it's just beyond their comprehension. And when you do talk about it, you are hated and threatened and so on and so forth. So anyway, in the beginning of January, the beginning of last year, so around this time, a dog came in, and it was an owner surrender. And this dog got raving reviews from the family, the dog's house trained. He sits, he knows down, stay, come. Is your dog kept? Where is the dog kept during the day? Loose in the house. Where does he sleep at night? With the children. How many hours is he left alone? 2 hours a day. What does he do when he's alone? He does nothing. Does your dog escape? No. Describe your household average. What ages of people live with this dog? 3 adults, 1 senior, 2 teens. Describe your dog. Active, playful, hyper, lazy. affectionate, vocal, friendly, and playful. So they sign an honor surrender. They sign over this dog to the town. And you do Form 1, which is, legal responsibility to surrender. Then there's another form, which is a consent to euthanize. A lot of people don't really quite understand that because this dog, I believe, was surrendered to be adopted, and this animal should have been cared for properly, rehabilitated, and adopted out to another family. The dog was 9 months old. 9 months old. How can you have an aggressive dog owner surrender that's euthanized within 24 hours? You're not giving these dogs the opportunity. Without a behaviorist, without the proper people in place, you're not caring for these animals the way that they should be cared for. This dog, Dexter, he should be alive. And there's quite a few other ones that should be alive too. So you are not no-kill. I've heard you say to the public that you are no-kill. It's not true. And I'm really begging you, here at the beginning of 2017, to take all of us seriously. I see it's a little better now. People aren't slamming things down and rolling their eyes at us. But I mean, animals are living creatures, and I really wish that you would take this seriously. It's about time, 2017, for the other Dexters.
So let me first start by telling you who I'm not. I'm not a town employee, and I'm not a volunteer at the Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter. Who I am actually is an outsider. I'm a citizen with civic responsibility. I'm a taxpayer in the Town of Hempstead. I'm a supporter of animal advocacy, and I'm an adherent to a no-kill philosophy for animals. When I became aware that there were issues at the Town of Hempstead, I decided I needed to be a little more educated, and I decided that I needed to be a little bit more involved. I started actually with emails to your office, Mr. Santino. It had to do with a dog by the name of Sophie. I don't actually know what happened to Sophie, but I know that she was suffering because there was no behaviorist on staff. And that was disturbing to me. I actually went from the emails to having multiple conversations with Mr. Denning. Is Mr. Denning here?
Yes,
Well, I wanted to say thank you because he actually was very responsive and he spoke to me a number of different times about some of the different issues. He actually encouraged me to visit the shelter, which I did. So I took a tour of the animal shelter. As an outsider, I saw some positive things. We'll talk about that in a moment. I listened to town board meetings online. I listened to individual stories. In reading the newspaper, I learned about the lawsuit that's pending. I educated myself as best I could as an outsider, as a citizen, just as an everyday citizen. Here's what I learned. Some of the positives at the Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter, when I walked in, I was very impressed with how hardworking the people were. I don't know who was staff and who was volunteer, but I was impressed with that. There was a cat room being built. I just heard, I was not aware, but I just heard that that cat room perhaps is stalled. It hasn't been finished yet, but I was glad to see that that was being done. But truthfully, when I got home from the shelter that day, the first thing I did was I called my sister. And I asked her to please make sure, if anything were to ever happen to me, that my 3 dogs would not wind up at the Town of Hempstead Animal Shelter. Not because it's a cruel place, but because it's an institutional place. And I know that my 3 dogs would shut down in 24 hours, and they would never get adopted from there because nobody would ever really see who they are. She promised that she would make sure they would be okay. I'm concerned, and I learned that there's no behaviorist still on staff. I find that kind of incomprehensible. I know that that has been on the agenda for a long time now to get a behaviorist. I don't really understand why that's taking so long. I heard that there is an uncertified person working as a dog trainer. That he's actually listed as a kennel worker, but he's working as a dog trainer. I learned about an issue with the volunteer program. Also, incomprehensible to me that there could be an issue at work for organizations large and small. When you have people in the front lines like that, they are the battalions, they are essential to the welfare of those animals. I heard that the director is not a no-kill advocate. that is also incomprehensible to me. That animals that are not just the sick and terminal are dying at that shelter. I don't get that. And of course, I learned about the lawsuit against the town. I'd actually like to start there. In listening to some of the board meetings, I'm surprised you didn't see that coming, because what I heard was battle cry for this town shelter. The gentleman who spoke first this evening, and I'm sorry I don't know his name, he talked about how fiscally responsible the town is being. As a taxpayer, I'm not sure I really feel that way right now. That there is a pending lawsuit that is going to cost the town money to defend what is maybe morally and ethically indefensible is disturbing to me. The money that's going to go into that lawsuit is money that could have gone to the shelter, frankly, into programs that the shelter badly needs. Training programs, fostering programs, adoption programs, making sure those animals get out of that institution and into homes. I can't tell you how fundamental I think it is for you to get a behaviorist on staff, for you to get a dog trainer on staff, for you to fix a volunteer program, whatever it takes, and for you to adopt a true no-kill approach. That, for me, is unnegotiable. Any shelter that kills animals that are not terminally ill and suffering is not really a shelter. For me, the crisis in the town of Hempstead Animal Shelter is really one of leadership. None of what I have spoken about would be an issue if there were good leadership there. The town of Hempstead Animal Director needs to be a marketing director, a human resource manager, a mediator, a business manager, a salesperson, and above all else, a no-kill advocate. We owe the animals in this shelter not only a safe harbor, not only a positive environment, but a second chance at a life that they deserve. Thank you.